I'm Amy, sex educator, somatic sex and relationship coach, and sex shop owner.
And I'm April, VP of an international high-end pleasure products company and boss queen sex toy mogul. We're best friends who make our own rules about who we are as sexual beings.
With everything from how to be a badass in the bedroom to top tips for bringing your relationship to the next level, we have something just for you.
So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Don't forget to head on over to our website at shamelesssex.com for more. And for 15% off of some of our favorite sex toys, use coupon code SHAMELESSPP in all caps at purepleasureshop.com. Hello, everyone.
Hi, everybody.
Welcome to the Shameless Sex Podcast, recording live. Well, this isn't live, but we're recording.
We're recording.
We're humans
but
recording.
We are live.
In Burbank, we're at a trade show.
I have a trade show voice happening already, day one.
You got a nice rasp.
Yeah. Shameless sex.
We are at a sex toy trade show. April is representing the wonderful Hot Octopus, and she is in the male masturbation sleeve booth, although you do have a vulva toy.
We do. Queen Bee.
And I'm hanging out with the wonderful people at Uberlube. If you haven't tried these wonderful products, check them out. You get 15% off with coupon code SHAMELESSPP in all caps. That was shameless. I know.
Purepleasureshop.com.
Hey, way to fill it in for me.
There you go.
So this episode, we have a wonderful guest who's a doctor.
He is
a doctor.
Doctor.
He is a doctor. And we're so grateful to have more men on our show. We're really loving that. So we will do an intro in a second, but we have a couple announcements. And the podcast, by the way, is on dating today, dating and relationships, because it's constantly changing. So why not talk to an expert about that?
It's true.
It's hard out there for a pimp, yo.
Yeah, it's hard out here for a pimp. I'm just singing everything that you say. I'm just like your backup vocalist tonight. I like it too.
Don't lose your voice.
Wait, I want to make a quick announcement about what we're drinking right now because
Margins
so Wine, OMG, y'all. She just launched a new, it's a Cab Franc.
It's her new red.
It's her new red, and it is so good. It tastes like, I think that it has like this like very smooth, little bit smoke. I get a little smoky body. It's I don't know, it's lovely. And if you want, you can also get, she's nice enough to offer Shameless Sex listeners a discount if you order her wine online.
Her website is marginswine.com.
And it's nice. So if you buy 3 or more bottles, you'll get 10% off with Shameless Sex 10, 15% off 6 or more bottles, Shameless Sex 15. She's never done that before. Her wine is reasonably priced. And remember, it comes from underrepresented regions, underrepresented varietals. And she turns it into this fabulous raw wine.
Which is
you won't get a hangover.
Organic. And
Sign up for her newsletter too, by the way.
My mom is a total wine snob, and my mom is in love with this new red. My mom is a total wine snob.
She is a
wine
snob.
Hi, Mom. She's listening.
Yeah.
And she's like, it's so good.
In a nice way. She liked it. Yeah. You text me. You're like, my mom likes it.
Yeah.
It's got to be good.
Saying a lot. So that's the wine. I have a couple announcements too. One is a shout out announcement for someone who is having an event that we actually are not necessarily connected with, but it goes very much in line because it's about working through shame. It's called Reclaiming Sexuality from Religion. It's a workshop in the Bay Area. It's August 14th, and it's in the East Bay community space. And it's for folks who feel like religion has really given them some shame around sexuality and are wanting to work through that, taught by someone who actually, I think they're like a former
Is it any religion too, or is it?
All religion.
Wow,
totally. Cool. You can get tickets at Eventbrite, or you can go look up on Facebook. So if you go to Eventbrite and just enter Reclaiming Sexuality from Religion, you can find out more. But it's August 14th, which is a Tuesday, and that's from 7 to 9:30 p.m. at the East Bay community space. So if you feel like religion has really gotten in the way of your sexuality, this is a good workshop.
We had a rabbi reach out to us that wanted to be on our podcast, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting mix. I don't know, something to think about. I just realized that with that announcement.
Bring it on.
Yeah. Hey, Rabbi. And September 22nd, 23rd, come visit us in Brooklyn. Woo! Shout out to my Brooklyn peeps. I don't know if I have any, but I hope so.
The She Expo. It's free, right?
It's free, and it's Amy and I will have a Shameless Sex booth. Hot Octopus will have a booth there as well. It's a consumer show. It's free for you. There's workshops. There's a bunch of really cool people like just collaborating, and you can learn and you can, see some cool products and see Amy and I in our finest.
In the flesh.
So enough about us now.
Yeah, let's just go right in the podcast.
Yeah.
We're going in.
Because Dr. Chavez over here.
Yeah, Dr. Hernando Chavez.
He is a brilliant human being doing the good of the world.
Yes, he's awesome. So I'm going to read a little bio and then we'll go right in. Right?
Perfect.
All right, everyone. I always mess up the bios, but wish me luck. Dr. Hernando Chavez holds a BA in psychology, a master's in marital and family therapy. See, already messed it up. And a doctorate degree in human sexuality. He is a licensed marriage and family therapist, clinical sexologist, love and sex coach, and professor of psychology and human sexuality. Dr. Chavez is co-sexpert educator for Penthouse Magazine's Sex Academy instructional DVDs. He specializes working with erotic minorities, which is like BDSM, alternative expression, non-monogamy and fetishism, and then also relationships and sexual concerns. Welcome, Dr. Chavez. Should we just call it Hernando? What do you want?
Please call me Hernando.
Hernando.
I prefer Dr. Chavez.
Okay,
Let's drop the doctor.
You can go with Dr. Chavez. I'll go with Hernando.
We're done. We're out.
Okay, we're done. Mic drop.
Hernando.
Oh, can we say it that way?
Are you related to Cesar Chavez?
Could be.
That'd be cool.
That turns you on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. All right. Yeah, that's hot.
If you like advocacy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yay, we're so happy that you're here.
I know.
Some people say, like, are you related to the boxer?
Oh.
Julio Cesar Chavez.
Oh, yeah. I get that. Are you related to the Baldwin brothers?
Yeah, that's what I said when I checked in this hotel. I was like, so can you put Amy Baldwin's name on the hotel? She's of no relation to Alec, but I hope that at some point we find out that she is. The guy started laughing.
Deep down.
Speaking of the Baldwin brothers, do you know who Stephen Baldwin's daughter is now engaged to?
Who?
Justin Bieber.
She's caught up on her pop culture.
Yeah.
So the Bieber and the Baldwins are getting together?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Bieber and Baldwin.
I hope they hyphenate that chick 'cause that's some good naming.
That's some pedigree, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I heard that Stephen Baldwin is now like a pastor or like a minister in New York, and so Justin Bieber's real religious, so he like asked for his hand, and like they talked about religion.
Justin Bieber's religious?
Apparently so.
What kind of religion?
Wow.
I don't know.
Are you a believer?
Church of Sex?
Are you a believer? Is that a Bieber reference?
Yeah. Are you a believer?
That's cute.
No, never.
You're not?
No,
Damn it.
You could pay me $1 million and I couldn't name one song.
Oh, yes, you know a song. Like it was like the Billboard's top 100.
Sing us one, Chip.
Doodle-doodle-doo, doodle-doo, sorry.
Don't know it.
No, I still don't.
Keep singing.
Yeah.
I don't remember how it goes right now. My voice is not in singing form.
She's
Damn
not
it.
going to have a voice at the trade show
Okay,
tomorrow.
what about oh no, that's Britney Spears. I was gonna go with "Hit Me,
You're
Baby"
having
one more
trouble
time.
too.
But I'm like, no, the sorry. I can have it. Anyway, it's actually quite catchy.
I was once having a conversation with Jessica Drake, and she said, "Oh, I love that Despacito song," and I said, "Not the Justin Bieber version. It's got to be the Latin guys."
Hey, we got to go with the
He
OG.
did really well with his Spanish, by the way.
He did the best he could, but
So you do know a Justin Bieber song then?
as a remix.
All
Yeah.
right, well,
He's sticking to the OG.
yeah.
Tell our listeners who Jessica Drake is. They might not know.
She's great.
Jessica Drake is wonderful. She's a sex educator and adult film star, and she is one of the spokespeople for B-Vibe Cowgirl and Wicked Sensual Lubes.
Oh, yeah.
She does a lot. She hosted the XBiz Awards last year. Did a great job. She was phenomenal. She's gorgeous human to just like, she's eye candy, and she's so smart and great. I love what she does.
Oh, I love it. Let's talk about her. It's great.
I know.
Yeah.
She's the
Shout out
best.
to Jessica Drake if you don't listen.
Yeah, I love instructional DVDs.
Yes,
Great way to learn and watch
a
a hot
verbal
scene
hug.
too.
Yeah.
Verbal hug.
Verbal hug.
Okay, Hernando. So we're so happy to have you here. You're like such a total, brilliant, awesome, sex positive sex nerd. And it's so wonderful to have you bring your wisdom here. So thank you so much for being here.
You both are so sweet. You're
Oh.
like building up my confidence and my self-esteem. Thank you so
Oh,
much for
yeah.
all your positive
Aw.
feedback.
Yeah, we're so
One
happy.
thing I wanted to point out about Hernando, that you're so good, like over the years, you're always so good about voicing like positive affirmations to people. You're like, I remember one time you looked at me, you're like, you're really tuned in and you're a good listener. I was like, thank you. Because not enough people do that, like affirm other people or
Appreciations.
compliment them, or wow, way to be, X, Y, and Z. So, and you're always like that. You're like, thank you for the compliments. I just love your style.
Thank you for saying that, because don't we all have things that we think in our heads that are nice about somebody, but we don't share them? Like,
Yeah.
why not keep
Exactly.
why keep compliments like in our chamber of secrets?
Yeah.
But you were always
People
so
wanna
good
hear
about
it.
that. You're always so good about it. I'm like, thank you. And you're always offering the juices. He's like, I brought you a fresh squeezed juice at the trade show because I know how diligently crazy your days are and you don't have time to go and get a juice.
He knows that you need to hydrate.
Yeah.
For
And
the
you even offered us some tuna tartare today before the thing.
A little something just
That's
to,
sweet.
a little protein before the podcast.
Oh, yeah.
We gotta be energized for this
I know.
podcast. So, dating today. What's up?
It's tough.
Like,
jungle out there.
Ghosting and all those things.
Yeah.
Oh, ghosting, catfishing. What about catfishing? I just learned about this. It's like blows my mind. I'm like, this is so bizarre. So, yeah.
How do folks navigate this world?
Yes.
Like, what are you seeing? What's up?
So I find that there's a challenge for people that are younger versus older. And I find that the older people have experienced something very different because they had the pre-internet time of dating where it was more...
If I'm 36, is that older?
You're kind of on the cusp.
Oh,
you probably grew up in a time where like internet
please
just
say
became...
no. Please say no.
I'm like, wait a second. Tomorrow I'll be 36. I'm still 35. Does that mean I'm older?
Her birthday's tomorrow.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Oh, thank you. But I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just wanted to know what older was because I'm like, maybe I'm having some issues.
You're as young as old as you want to be. I mean, I think it's a mindset as well, and it's also what we're open to immersing ourselves into. Like there are people in their 30s and 40s who will not touch a dating app, and then there are people in their 50s who absolutely will. They see that like there's value in it, or they see that there's more, a wider net that you can cast with meeting people. But people that are old school, they had a different experience when it came to like you had to go to a bar, you had to go to like meet people in person. It was about your friends setting you up with other friends and family members setting you up with other people. And nowadays, the swiping culture has just changed a lot of people's expectations. You've got, for example,
it's true.
Culture.
It is like the screen swipe. It's like it's a game.
It's a lot of work. Like millennials average approximately 10 hours per week on dating apps swiping.
Whoa,
that's a lot of time. 10 hours per
10
week.
Hours.
Think of the things you can do with that 10 hours.
Oh my God. I mean, I could like go, save a whale.
It's another one of those instant, but it's another one of those, it's fun, it's entertaining, but it can also like suck the life out of you, things the way Facebook and Instagram can, where you just kind of get hooked, right?
You get sucked in, yeah. And there's, I think people put in a lot of time, but you don't see always that immediate gratification sort of come back. You don't get a lot of matches sometimes. Sometimes people, you write them and they don't write back and they sort of disappear or they like delete you from their match list. There's just a lot of challenges that people have. Like you mentioned catfishing.
Yeah.
Not everybody's authentic. People will use pictures that are 15, 20 years old. People will use pictures that aren't even them. I mean, I've been catfished myself. I'd probably say at least half a dozen times this year.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you're single? So
Yeah.
you're exploring this dating realm of the using internet dating, right? Is it called internet dating?
People call it like using the apps. I guess
Using
that's
the
more
apps,
of a colloquial
okay.
term. But yeah, internet dating, online dating would
I think it'd be so cool. Like before I was partnered up, I like really was not wanting to explore that world, but I think it's so interesting. And then there's so many different apps. Like there's like JDate if you want to date other Jewish people. There's like Bumble. I don't even know all of them, but there's always new ones. Christian Mingle. I heard they really like anal on Christian Mingle. That's what someone told me.
Yeah, especially the ones that also put in Catholic.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Cool.
Remember when I wasn't single. I was like on a break with my partner, and I went on Tinder, and it was down here at this same trade show years ago. And you were married, April, and so I put Tinder on there, and I was like, well, we're on a break. So April was on my phone, and she was swiping, and it was within an hour, it was a match a number of times. You were, and it was as if she was living vicariously through. She was so excited. She's like, it's a match. She was, just living.
Yeah.
So you got a little bit of experience.
I totally would get sucked into that. That's why I never chose to do the app dating, because I get sucked into that shit. It's because I'm not a gamer or anything. I could be though if I probably started buying the gaming equipment. I might be a gamer, but that shit was like enticing. It's addicting. I help my friends on Scruff and Grindr. Gay boys send cock shots like immediately too. I'm like, show me the treasure. I was like apping and I was like, look at this for my friend. He was like, just take over. And the amount of cock shots that you get immediately, I was like, damn.
Right.
This is like immediately.
There's different etiquette with like hetero dating versus gay dating, queer dating, lesbian dating, and absolutely in the hetero culture, you send a dick pic early on, especially unsolicited. You're done. Yeah.
Yeah.
But in the gay culture, it's almost encouraged and to a certain expected. Yeah.
That's what they said. They're like, no, this is like. I was like, oh, wow. And it's, for me, I love it. I think it's so fun, but I'm also like, wow, like that would, if I just received that from the same person, I would be a little offended and like, wow, dude, no.
What do you do when you get catfished? When you arrive to the date and you see that and you're like, oh yeah, you're different than what you portrayed. Or maybe it's not what you see, it's what you experience. Like how do you handle that?
I think there's catfish protocol, like ways you can do catfish prevention, like
catfish prevention.
Well,
that you need to coin that.
I like that.
TM that. But like, I'll send a picture of myself with like, hi, Amy, and I'll put like their name on it, and I'll have a piece of paper next to my face, so that it's really me. And then I send them that photo, And some people will respond back saying, "Oh, my camera's broken on my phone," or "Oh, they'll just make excuses, and you kind of know right there that's a red flag.
Yeah.
But sometimes they do, and you will meet them. And one time I had one person who had pictures online, and then I went to meet her, and then she walked into Starbucks with a double child stroller, and she had 2 babies. She just had twins.
She walked on the date with her 2 babies.
And she's
no
like,
way.
"Oh wow,
I didn't want to tell you, but I just want to let you know that I have kids."
Oh my gosh!
And
they're here with me right now. Can you watch
you
one
get
of
to meet them right away.
Well,
Can you change one?
Can you? Did this one's dirty? Do you mind? And did you buy me coffee? Because we can get 2 chocolate milks too. Thanks.
Wow.
It's a trip how there's a little bit of lack of transparency and there's some dishonesty. Like people will also not tell the truth about their age, and then when they show up they will say, "Okay, I'm not really 43, I'm actually 37." But a lot of times at 40 is when people stop their cutoffs for searching. So it's also about allowing yourself to be searched, on the search engine. So I get where people come from, but you just have to navigate all these different obstacles and bumps in the road.
Do you have recommendations for what, authentically, you think some of the apps are more authentic maybe to meet folks than maybe more hookup ones?
Well, I've just to finish the catfishing piece,
sorry.
if you have FaceTime or Zoom or Google Hangouts, they have, or even Kink, they have ability for people to do FaceTiming, even if you don't have an iPhone.
Yeah.
If you're iPhone to Android, you can do that, which is nice to see someone's face. If you get that in real time and you speak to them and hear them, that's pretty good evidence.
I think that's important. Yeah, it's actually see a video version, because we have the technology, and you can find a way, even if you don't have an iPhone, or at least if you can't do that, hear their voice, because I've actually had moments where when I was actually doing this Bumble experiment, I met with a person but hadn't talked to them before, and their voice was, you kind of make up an idea of what their voice is, but it's very harsh. I was like, oh god, all right, so it's gonna be a
it was
quick
too
one, right?
abrasive. You're like, I can't hang.
And that wasn't a catfish, of course. They weren't portraying. I just didn't do enough research.
Yeah.
Going
back with the question you asked a moment
Sure.
ago, which are some of the apps? Some of them have reputations. Okay. So Tinder has more of a rep for hooking up.
Okay.
And you may have maybe more of a younger or more of a single crowd that's not necessarily looking for something serious. Not everybody, but it's definitely got the reputation. Bumble, a little bit more serious when it comes to looking for a relationship or more long-term dating. I also find that there's more people with professions, and so sort of a little more established in life. So I find that it's there's more millennials on Tinder. There's a little bit more sort of mid 30s, early 40s, late 20s
on
Bumble.
Okay. What about League?
League is one.
My old roommate, she used to use League.
Into sports?
No, it's professionals.
Yeah,
she would. You had to be, I don't know, a certain kind of professional.
Is it a Bay Area thing?
Maybe it's a Bay Area thing. Yeah. I don't know. I never had heard of it. I was like, what is this? You have to be a career person.
Sounds like sports.
I know, that's what I thought too. I thought it was professional.
Professional
athletes. I'm like,
I want to date a professional athlete.
Yeah.
That's sugardaddy.com, everybody.
And Seeking Arrangements, and some places have
Seeking Arrangements. That's one. Oh,
they've one. That's a little more for having a little bit of money exchange for some type of companionship. But there's Coffee Meet Bagel. There's Match.com now has an app also that people use.
That's how my sister met her husband on Match.
I think Match is more for mostly mainstream, mostly I'd say 35 and older sort of is where you see a lot of people having success on that.
Okay.
Maybe less millennials. You've got sort of some of the old school ones like eHarmony. Those are still sort of going around where they do all the profiles of people and then they match you up based on your personality characteristics.
It's a lot of depth of who you are as a human. They really go into your character.
Oh,
it's not just general questions.
Hours of assessment questions, and then they match you up with the quote unquote perfect match.
Yeah, they have
I've
so
seen
many
a lot of
assessment questions. It's wild.
Yeah.
I set one of my friends up on Match.com, and this is one thing I recommend is have a friend write your profile for you, the one that really, really knows you, because it's oftentimes hard or at least assist you, and it's hard for you to see all of your finest qualities. And so I helped my friend write this thing. I chose their photos, and this is a man, and gentlemen, please don't include photos with sunglasses where people can't see your face. And I think this applies to everyone. True. Or with you with 8 chicks, or this is
with you and your mom.
Yeah, or just show that the activities that you're into. Maybe you with your pet if you have one, so people can really see who you are and what you do. But anyway, so I helped him with the photos. I wrote the profile for him. He loved it. It was spot on. I even did a vulnerable share in there where he was talking about how he's not afraid to own his vulnerability and talk about the hard things. The first date he went on, and he had been pretty single for years and wasn't really in the dating game and would try, and it just wasn't really working. First date he went on, the woman, the first thing she said was, "I loved your profile." And he's like, "Well, I have to be honest with you. My friend Amy wrote it." And she's like, "Amy who?" And Amy Baldwin. "Oh, I took a blowjob class from her once." And now they're in love.
It's
great.
Way.
Yeah, it's
awesome. You're a little matchmaker.
You are a matchmaker.
Maybe you need to have a little.
I'm not a good
dating
matchmaker.
app.
I'm just good at writing profiles.
I've helped our profile before too, but it's a whole science to that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did your experience go?
I just wrote my friend's. I read his profile. It was really bad. It was like 2 lines of like, "I like books." I was like, dude, like, I'm sorry, but like, this is not good. And I just kind of enhanced it with. I didn't even really know him that well. It was a friend of my ex-husband, and he did get. I asked him 2 weeks later after I just sort of enhanced it. I just got. What else do you like besides books? There's got to be some other things. And he shared, and then I just put some things, put it nice language, very loving and open. And he got like 3 or 4 hits. He said, and he had 0 before that. It was like his Tinder account too.
Nice.
Yeah.
Big help you were.
Do you have any specific tips for writing profiles?
Totally.
You know, I trying to get away from the generic. I think that we have to look at it and ask ourselves: is this something that most or everybody puts in their profile?
Yeah.
Like we all want to travel.
Yeah.
We all looking to live life to the fullest, right?
Yeah.
You know, so can we add something a little bit unique or different, or
That's still authentic.
I think authenticity and vulnerability is really important, and it doesn't mean that we have to necessarily like put our deepest, darkest fears on,
Here's
in the
my
profile.
childhood wounding. Mommy didn't love me.
My brother locked me in trunks.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
But with your friend, with the example you just gave, I thought there was a piece right there where he actually opened up and was honest and said,
Yeah.
"It wasn't actually me; it was my friend." And I think that probably won him some brownie points
Yeah.
too, where other guys may have taken credit for it, or
yeah, totally. Yeah.
I'm a poet.
He was
you know?
also on the honesty that he was. Like, it said that he is easy, comfortable being vulnerable, and then he was. And she was like, "Wow, spot on."
And
right?
I wrote it with him while we were on the phone for like 2 hours while I was doing it. And it wasn't that I made up a whole bunch of bullshit. All of it was very real, but it was just me knowing him for 10 years and seeing him. And so I read it, and he's like, "Yeah, that's me. That's great. I would have never been able to put it that way."
That's a great suggestion, Amy. I think like for our listeners out there, and I think probably you can agree, Hernando, but like get a good friend to write your profile and then just proofread it and kind of add or maybe edit what you believe should be different.
Or you can hire a coach. There's coaches that specialize.
There are.
in this. Like I've worked with clients with this before too. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Coaches not knowing you though.
But they can also
jot
it's a
notes.
conversation. It's like what I've done with clients before is I talk to them and get to know them a little bit, like for a session, and and like, okay, well let's word it this way. Does this feel real right to you? Yeah. And I don't feel like it's that hard to do.
I think if you're a guy writing your own profile, most guys, including myself, are not that skilled with like emotive expression when it comes to like our words. So it's really valuable to have like a female friend or a sister or somebody that you trust that can just
Check it out.
put a little sugar and spice and sprinkle something nice onto it.
It's true.
What about the first? Because I get this question from people when they're actually supposed to. It's a match. You're on Tinder. It's a match, or Bumble, and the guys are supposed to talk first or whatever. But just say it's a match. We'll use Tinder. The first thing that you say, like, what do you do? What do you recommend? Because the people they're like, "Hey, what's up?" Or a DTF.
So
What's DTF? Down to fuck?
Yeah, not good.
Oh God, I'm so out of the loop right now.
here's where I love Bumble, because Bumble has if 2 people match, the initiative is on the female if this is a heterosexual relationship.
Oh yeah, it's the female.
She writes first.
Yeah.
So I think women sort of gotten a taste about like the awkwardness and sort of the discomfort of having to like initiate a conversation with a random stranger that you think is cute. Because obviously we're all attracted to each other. We just swiped right and we matched.
Yeah.
I find that it's either good to crack a joke, a safe joke. Don't make it all too extreme that you're gonna push challenge someone's buttons, but or take something out of their profile and create like a connection where you can ask a question about it. Like if they said something about an interest they have, say that you have that same interest, and here's like and ask them a question about it, and bring in like a conversation. Like you have to ask a question. You can't just say hi, or you can't just say hi. How are you?
So what did one saggy boob say to the other saggy boob?
What?
Per couple that think we're nuts. Is that
See,
a good one?
See, if I got that, I would love that.
Yeah, you would love
I
it.
would love
right?
that on Bumble.
I mean, that's my go-to now.
One thing that I like.
If I'm ever on Bumble, I'm not though. So.
Why not crack a joke? Because we all want to laugh.
Dude, totally.
And one add-on that I like with what you're saying is to look at their profile and then find something that you resonate with. Even if one thing I like is like say they say I really love dogs. This is a picture of my dog, and you don't have a dog. send them. You can say, because I think on them you can't send photos, but you can send GIFs. I think, right? So send them a GIF of like the cutest dog ever. Like, I love dogs too, and like, here's my dog, or something along those lines. Like, how cute he is, and then send it. And like, just kidding. I don't. You can still be honest about it, but like, of course, don't bullshit them. Like, I have a dog, or really don't. But you could actually say that you do and send a cute thing, and then follow that up with I don't, but I wish I did, or something. And people just kind of like connect with that something. There's like some cuteness or playfulness or humor or something that just stands out more so than just like, hey, what's up?
Absolutely.
I do think that the joke, that's a really great suggestion, Hernando. I would love that, because if I did receive a joke, I love humor, I would be like, you're a witty motherfucker, I want to hang out with you.
And asking questions.
Yes.
Right?
Not just talking about yourself.
Exactly. I always encourage people when they're writing back is that even if you're answering a couple questions, or you're telling a little bit of a story or making a statement, always end or at least include one question that they can respond with an answer, because you don't want to cut off communication by not asking a question. Otherwise, you're now putting it on them to spark up a new conversation. It's like, why are we going to have all these mini conversations that have to start up on their own organically? Why not just continue that process? However, don't be the person that like bombards somebody with questions.
They call it the interview.
The interviewer,
I have had a lot of actually male hetero single friends that have said that, like, oh, the fucking interview. I'm like, what's the interview? It's like when you're getting kind of like, what's your dream? What do you do for work? Like, kind of that redundant, sort of very topical too. It's not deep. I don't know, and I'm not suggesting anyone gets deep automatically. I'm sure there's topical questions that are needed, but would you suggest like limiting the questions to just bounce back and forth? I mean, how would you do that? Because I'm a question asker. I'm an investigator.
I think it's okay if we don't make it to seem like we have like a top 20 questions and we're going down a checklist. I think that if you organically can weave in like a conversation and maybe a joke and maybe a GIF, like you mentioned, and then ask another question, that's perfectly fine. But if it's like rapid fire, one after the other, after the other, after the other, I think that can be a little bit bombarding for some people. Now, that being said, let's be realistic here. If somebody's really, really attractive and you're into them, you'll be happy with the rapid fire. You'll be a lot more forgiving and a lot less scrutinizing if you're really attracted to somebody. And that's just, the case. I mean, we've seen research as well, too, where people will have pickup lines that are done by people that are unattractive or people that are really attractive. And obviously people, when they find that person attractive, are a lot more open to like inviting that conversation in and accepting that pickup line as funny versus offensive or versus corny or stupid.
The same pickup line for like two people, one that one's attracted to, one that someone's not.
Yeah. If Brad Pitt or Johnny Depp did a pickup line, I mean, they could burp in your face and you'd be like, stars in your eyes.
Yeah. And there's people like questions, and not the bombarding ones, but they want to feel like they're interesting or you're interested in them too, right? Instead of like you just talking to a wall or something. So there's a fine balance. And then also if you're the only one asking questions and you're asking a lot of them, there's also maybe an aspect of you not sharing yourself too. So it's like this balance of being inquisitive and asking questions and generally being curious about someone, as well as allowing space for them to get to know you too.
Not an interrogation, but curiosity.
Right. Yeah.
And something I'll do intentionally, and this may sound like a game, and it could be construed as that, but I don't intend it to. It's just more of like strategic. If conversation's a little stale or you just want to like take a break, I'll just say like, oh, I have to go into work or I'm going to be out for the rest of the night, but I'll message you tomorrow. And I purposely want to create some time and space so that it's there's a little bit of time to kind of like process and think and like if I say a good joke and they laugh, then I'm going to leave it at that and just say, okay.
Is this via the phone right now?
This is via the app, but it could be the phone as well too.
Okay, so this is via text chat conversations. Okay. So if I
like that. But give a little spaciousness in there.
That's
so what about, because you start on the chat app, you're having conversations, chat app. At what point, because I know people are fearful of like giving them their phone number, like what is the protocol for that when you open up and actually give them a connection outside of the app?
Like in a public space, like that is all confusing to me too.
Because I know it's a really challenging like time for women to date. There's a lot of fears. There's a lot of people stalking. There's people are Google background checking. I mean, all this stuff is happening. So I want to be as mindful of a female's experience as possible. So I'll always give them choices like, hey, if it's comfortable for us to change numbers and talk on the phone, I'd love to do that. But I'm also really open to waiting and just respecting the pace that you want to set. And I'll just leave it at that. Or if we do decide to talk on the phone and eventually we're going to meet for coffee or dinner or a date or a hike or whatever it may be, I'll give them the option. Like, I can either pick you up or we can meet there, whatever's most comfortable for you. And I just find that, like, if you keep it real easygoing like that, but you also offer like a lot of space to make a choice, they can at least ascertain what's like comfortable for them.
I'm just realizing that we didn't figure out, when you get catfish, what do you say? I just had this like, I mean, what do you say? Do you say anything about that, or do you just pretend like you didn't just like
smoke bomb? You're like,
no,
I'm just kidding.
We'll talk about ghosting in a second.
Yeah.
But like, what do you do when someone shows up and they're completely different, or not even completely, but like pretty different from how? Do you comment on that? Do you just go with it for a little while and like, hey, I'm not really feeling this, or?
I've done it all to where I didn't know, and then when I asked them for like a picture or like video or something like that, then they just disappear. They ghost me, and so then I realized, okay, that they're probably not real. And then there's been times where I've seen pictures and I'm like, I think I recognize this person. I'm not sure. Are they a model? And then you do like there's actually something called Google image background search where you can like
drop the image into the search bar,
and it can come up on like on where it's been on like the internet.
So like they maybe did that and pulled it onto their profile. Oh snap!
Well, a few times I've done it, and I'm like, oh wow, that person's like a famous model who lives in England, or this is like a porn star that and so they're using this other people's pictures. So now I know. So sometimes I will just play along just to see what the conversation entails, and then I'll ask them for like verification, or can we like talk on the phone? Can we do the video? I generally don't want to like pick a fight with people. Like, I don't know if you're using someone else's photos and you're catfishing. I mean, there's something already a little bit off.
Yeah.
So I don't want to.
I know what's the intention.
Call you out.
I don't understand the intention. I get it, like making your boobs bigger, or like cleaning up, like sometimes photoshopping,
Or using old photos sometimes.
Or using old photos where you're like, oh, that was when I was 20 and now I'm 45.
Well, that's drastic. Like over 20 and then you're 29 or something. Okay, but that's still like. What is the gap? Like, we should photos within 3 years. Let's be maybe. I don't know.
Even like, I mean, how many times do we take photos? You probably taken 30 photos this weekend. You know? Like, we have photos all the time. I don't think it's that much to ask to have at least within the last few months, 6 months.
Yeah, I think so. So if you do, this is just my suggestion. If you're scheduling the first date with someone, I'm a big fan of keeping it as casual and safe. In safe meaning, of course, there's safety for your well-being, your physical well-being, and safe in terms of it's not a lot of commitment. Like, let's go out to that fancy dinner and spend a lot of like quality one-on-one time. And so I'm a big fan of doing something really casual, like just meeting over coffee to just see if there's even a thing there. And feeling into it in that way, or a cup of tea, or just like a quick walk or something like that. So just feel into that, like, oh, okay, yeah, there is a connection here. Let's pursue that, as opposed to just diving right in. And this is just a personal preference of someone who has been on a date before where it was like, wow, I'm so bummed that I locked myself in for 3 hours with this person.
You were stuck, huh?
We went on a hike, and it was a 3-hour hike. And
I remember you talking about this. I was like,
with pretty quickly, I was like, I just locked myself into this, and it was fine. I mean, they were respectful, and this is, it's just, there was clearly no connection there, but I was locked into this experience. And so, I mean, again, I could have just been like completely honest and right from that, like, so I'm already telling this isn't going to work. But I wasn't brave enough to do that.
Yeah. Do you pretty much know Hernando too? Like, when you meet someone in person, are you like, immediately within the first 20 minutes, like in or out kind of thing? Or do you really like to get to know people to make sure? Because I have trigger things when I'm like, oh gosh, but first impressions aren't necessarily everything.
That's a tough question. I think each person's gonna have their own experience, but I think it's wise to get to know them a little bit before you meet them, or at least do some phone calls. To me, meeting like you did right there, you're definitely gonna put yourself in a position to have to like really invest some time and space and your own energy and
3 hours of your life. You're like, shit, I'll never get that back. But the hike was really nice.
Such a relief when I got dropped off. I was like, yes.
And one of the challenges with the whole culture right now too, with dating, when it's online especially, is that I call it the buffet culture. It's like when you go to a buffet and there's so many options of things to eat, and you're kind of overwhelmed, and people will sometimes try something out, but they'll just move on really quickly to the next thing if they don't really think it's good for them, and they won't finish it. And so historically, I think people gave people more of an opportunity to like invest themselves into dating, because they had this, we didn't have all these opportunities around us. We had like one date and we were really looking forward to it. We were building it up and we were planning it out. And with that sort of buffet culture, there's something that I've termed called the BBD, which is the bigger, better deal, which a lot of people are online. They're dating somebody, but they're looking for somebody that is prettier,
It's like the backup,
younger,
backup
The
person.
grass
more
is always
attractive,
greener
richer,
scenario. Oh yeah.
more powerful, whatever it may be. But they're looking for, and they have these opportunities, which what a lot of people do, they call them back burner relationships, where you're with somebody, but you've got other people sort of
Makes
being
me kinda
farmed.
sad.
Yeah.
And not everybody does that, but they're oftentimes sort of working other outside relationships to see how they blossom, to see if they can take over as their primary.
I think if you're being authentic with all the people and letting them know, like, look, I'm dating other people, then that could be considered okay. But I don't know. But that's like,
as long as it's again, everyone gets to make their own rules. But if you're just leading someone and telling them one story which is not accurate, like I'm so into you, I'm not really ready to commit yet, but it has nothing to do with you. I'm just not ready to commit. I'm just like enjoying spending time with you. But deep down, it's just like it's just you. I'm actually looking for someone better than you.
I just like that you love to take me out to dinner every night or something. Like that's, I don't know.
Back burner.
I don't know about the back burner thing. That would be hard. Although I had tears when I was single. Tears.
Not tears from her eyes. There was
Tears,
like a tiered
T-I-E-R.
system.
Can you explain the tier system?
Yeah.
Well, I had like a tier 1, like my go-to hookup guy. That
It's your main person that you enjoyed
my
spending
main
time
person, but I was very clear about not wanting a committed relationship. I was like, look, I'm not ready for that. I just want to hang out. We did do couples. I did a lot of wrong things to casual sex. Like we did couples, like stuff with other couples, like weekend getaways. But I was always clear, like we are not boyfriend and girlfriend.
with. He was so confused.
And he was very confused. But I was like, I can't get any clearer. We are not dating. And I had so that was like my go-to. And then I had a tier 2 who was like very casual, would never go out in public really. We would just like, he'd come over to my house, I'd make dinner or something, and then we'd bang it out. And then I had like my tier 3 who was like this, very random. If tier 1 or tier 2 was not available, it was purely sex as well. And sometimes we did go out on dates.
It was backup status.
Yeah.
3.
Is that back burner?
They didn't know that they were 3.
No, but I told them all. It was always very casual. It was never like, I was like, I'm single, I'm having fun. It was never like, oh, this is going to be a relationship.
Yeah, let's just turn the genders around here and see how pissed women would be if you were a dude right now sharing your philosophy.
I mean, I don't know.
But I think it's the way that you're doing it has integrity. It's honest. It's transparent. It's respecting at least another person to give them the information to make their own choices.
Right.
Whereas in back burner, typically it's like under the radar. It's behind the scenes. It's not
There's
with
not
your
honesty,
knowledge.
Yeah.
I mean, I had a podcast about it at the time too.
Yeah, she talked about openly.
I talked about it all the time, and I was clear with all of them. And people were like, I don't think that this person that, that my tier 1, I don't think anybody's ever been that honest with anyone about like how I was very clear. I was like, I really love you. I think you're awesome. Like, no, I love you, but I think you're a good person. You're a cool human. We have fun together. Let's just roll with this. I'm not trying to be, like trying to look for the wedding. I'm not shopping for wedding dresses at all. Nope.
Which I think that's real, and I think that's where I wish relationships or at least dating would evolve to, where you could be so honest about everything from your tiers or your back burners or your STI status, maybe even wanting your partner and yourself to get tested. Yeah. A lot of people aren't doing that, and if they do it, they do it after the fact, or they do it sort of a little bit late. When I've dated people in the adult industry, I've loved people in the adult industry because sex workers are so comfortable talking about A, sex, and B, getting tested. And I think that's so valuable that it's still missing those two pieces, like outside partners and whether or not we're getting tested and how often we're getting tested.
Yeah.
So
it's just kind of this like, oh yeah, no, I'm clean. You're clean? Cool.
Oh, well, I love that when people are like, I know that they're clean. I'm like, how do you know? Just I know.
I took a look at. They took a shower.
Yeah, I'm like,
they're
well,
really clean. Good luck to you.
I was talking to Ashley Manta, who was on our episode, the Canisexual episode, and I just was giving her praise for being so open about her, living with herpes and being so open about it. And I'm like, thank you, because we need more people like that. And it's not something that we need to shame and hate on. And that is so powerful. And I just said that to her yesterday. I was like, thank you. And like, I would love to do more work with you on that, because on the podcast, like just like outing STIs, STDs, and they're so common. And why are we so treating them like they're a disease that you're going to catch by looking at someone, and that's what happens.
Or just not talking about them in a way that's like, this is a safety, preventative, a responsible adult conversation of like, hey, when's the last time you got tested? I haven't been tested in a while. Okay, let's not have penetrative sex or whatever kind of sex that could be risky, and go get tested and come back together and share our results. And
it's not sexy, but it's necessary.
And the myth too about, like, let's say people in the adult industry, not sort of, or not, I guess you could say being dirty, I guess what the mainstream might think that they are, but they're getting tested every 14 days. That's twice a month for 7 different tests. 7 different STIs, and yet most people in their life they get less than 1 HIV test overall in their entire life. And women get more than men because women have more sort of opportunities with pelvic exams and gynecological visits. So, like the mainstream, actually, a lot of people in the adult industry are much less comfortable with mainstream sexual partners because they're the ones that typically have an unknown sort of status.
I get tested every gynecological exam. I'm like, just test me, and HIV test, because I feel like it's part of, I don't know, not that, and even when I was married in a monogamous, like non-open, very closed relationship, I still would get tested because I thought it was just important.
It's like self-care.
It's like self-care, and I thought I don't know, avidly still tell my friends, I'm like, go get tested and just, feel into that.
I always find like it's the right thing to do, so I'm going to do it because it's the right thing I should be doing. Whether and I think about that with like, okay, I should go exercise because it's the right thing for my body. I should go eat my vegetables; it's good for my body too. And I should meditate or do yoga because that's great for my mental health. And so, I think the same thing goes for our sexual health. We just have to do the right thing for us, even if it's a little scary.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
What about okay? So we talked about online dating. What the old, the Victorian era of in-person
courting
dating.
I mean,
what is that?
Old human.
What's going on with that?
It's changing too, especially when you're looking at the age demographics. Also, like I was reading this article about a lot of restaurants are now having a much more difficult time making ends meet because a lot of millennials and younger adults are ordering like Postmates and Uber Eats, and they're eating in. They're not going out to eat at places. They are staying in more.
Like, so I got a sunbasket tonight, and I'm going to make it for you.
I'm going to cook it, yeah.
I used to do that,
I
P.S.
cooked it, yeah.
And I'm always like, no, but you do cook it. But I'm just saying, I'm like, I didn't curate the ingredients. They came all portioned, but I did this.
One thing I'm finding too is that less people are going out on like a date, like a dinner and a movie is kind of like a classic date that you think of historically. And because you have so many, like the buffet we talked about, so many different people we're matched with and swiping, that people are doing like quick little drinks or quick coffee dates because they have 2 or 3 or 4 dates per week.
Oh, wow.
It gets expensive to do, let's say, 2 or 3 or 4 dinners.
Oh,
and you are finding that people are getting a little resentful of that. Like I know a lot of women will say, I'm worth more than just a quick coffee or like I am worth a dinner and taking some time to invest into a date and treating me well. And I totally understand that perspective. It's just something that I'm noticing with sort of that once we get out of the online and into the in-person space.
Yeah.
That's a good point. I didn't really think about that, but I guess if you are dating in high frequency, high volumes per week or per month or whatever, that does get expensive because eating out gets expensive.
Time consuming.
And if it's not connecting with someone, you're like, son of a bitch, it's going to be like, and how does that, how does that go? Is it like the chivalrous thing, or is it a split pay thing if you're not connecting? That would be my thought process, being a heady human that I am.
So if we're not connecting,
I'm like, should I just take care of this? Because like I'm not into this at all. You might be, but I'll just get this bill.
I'll buy the whole thing to just please you for a moment. We're not going home together, but just
yeah. I'm gonna take care of this. You order the filet mignon, and I don't mind.
That's like the nice girl.
Yeah.
I don't want to be too much. I don't want to hurt your feelings. I'm gonna buy you dinner.
Well, what would you both like? Like if you were on the dating scene and somebody asked you out on a date, I mean, would you want to split the bill? Would you want to have them pay for you? Would you want to pick up the tab?
I don't have a preference. I would be, if they were to say I'll pay for it, I would of course still insist that I pay for at least half of it. I would have no problem paying. I really don't expect, as someone who identifies as a straight woman, I don't expect men to pay for me. It's just not how I operate. But I also have a self-sufficient complex. But I like little aspects of chivalry, but it's just not like I just don't. I personally just have this thing, like if things are new and you don't really know, then like I think it should just be a mutual shared experience. And at least that's what works for me is like, hey, we're still figuring this out. Let's split it no matter what, whether we're into it or not. But I know plenty of women that are like, he didn't even pay. What do you
I
do?
like their accent.
Yeah,
Hit it
he didn't even pay. Like he didn't even
insist.
pay for it. He asked to split the bill, and I was like,
Well, if you weren't connecting, that's what I think. If it kind of was like a dud deal, and this is just my own perspective, I probably would be like, let's just split this, and your homies, let's fist bump and like be out. But like for me, so I'll tell you just a brief story really quickly. I was hanging out with this Italian Australian in Australia because I was there for a month. And we, just for 1 week, we were hanging out and we met organically at a wine shop. And so he was taking me out to dinners like every night. And it was almost uncomfortable. He was like insistent. And he was very like, that was like his deal. And so the last night, I was like, I'm insisting, I'm paying. We went to the best restaurant. I was like, I am paying. He's like, was very uncomfortable with it. And then I paid. It was like maybe like 600 Australian dollars. And he was like, this is the first time in my life he's dated. He hadn't had really a girlfriend ever. And he was 37 at the time, and he'd never had like a serious girlfriend. He's like, this is the first time a woman's ever paid for my dinner. And I was like, there's so much power in that. It felt so good. I was like, well, that's awesome. And he's like, he's like, I don't even know what to do. He's like, thank you. He's like, it feels really great, but thank you. I was like, you're welcome. I was like, thank you. But I think like for me, on some level, and I feel like I'm a new age human, I still really value chivalry. And when someone's like, I got this, like, you're awesome, it's my treat for you, I'm like, thank you. Like, that is kind of a fluttery turn on for me. If there's seriously no connection and it's like, wow, we're not on any level on the same frequency, I would probably just be like, no, you know what, let's just split it, or let me take care of it if I felt really bad.
I would like to challenge that.
Okay.
Because I personally, I don't think that it's chivalry that you like. I think that this is just a opinion, and you can correct me. I think that it isn't related to you're a man or it isn't. And I guess chivalry does chivalry have to be gendered? Is it usually coming from one? Is it a gendered experience?
No.
Chivalry is just,
chivalry is just, it's a verb of some sort, like
being chivalrous. I always thought it was gendered.
I always thought it was gender too, where it was more of like a male sort of catering to female needs,
and so that's
to show respect.
I could be wrong.
I always
just thought of it
that
as
was
being
my correction. I was going to say, I don't think chivalry is right. I think that you just are like, if sometimes it feels good to be taken care of, just like you like to do it for people too. And you're actually really pretty. You're actually, from what I see, you take more care of people in your life, friends or family or whatever, than they're actually,
which is why it's super nice for me to
receive.
Right.
So it's not necessarily like, oh yeah, I like to be taken care of by my male partner or my male lover at times. It's more so that it just feels good to be taken care of in general. Whereas I think that what we're talking about chivalry is there's a difference where there still is this cultural idea that men should be paying for women. It's kind of expected.
So lesbians can't have chivalry? I don't understand.
I don't think you would call it chivalry, would you?
You wouldn't. I don't think you would call it chivalry, because I think it is sort of a male-female dynamic.
Okay,
but
I didn't know this.
There would be, I guess you could call it maybe a power dynamic that they have that might not be as balanced, or may have some more assertive versus passive kind of behaviors. What the research will suggest is that most women in heterosexual relationships will want an egalitarian, sort of balanced, sort of a feministly ideal relationship where they both have equal choice, equal say, equal agency, but they still value and appreciate having chivalry, having, let's say, men pay for things, let's say dinner, or open doors for them, or, it is a sign of appreciation, respect, and sort of desiring, and also putting someone on a pedestal. And I think a lot of us do want that sort of, that evidence to suggest that our partner really cares for us and really wants to sort of nurture and show, our value.
Mm-hmm. It's for me, it's like that's a sign of like loving someone. Mm-hmm. You're putting out some love, and I mean, it would be awkward if I opened the door for you if we were on a date, right? You'd be like, well,
it'd be awesome.
Yeah, would it really be awkward?
I don't know. I don't know.
Why do you think it would be
I break a lot of boundaries.
I hold days
all the time. I pick up my partner and he weighs like 230 pounds, maybe 225 pounds.
Girl, you've been doing that for a
pure
long
muscle.
time. Yeah.
I pick him up and like treat him like he's my like fresh bride.
I really want to see that.
Oh my God, people die. They're like,
I have not seen this. I would like to see this too.
It is so funny. He's like, people are like, you can do that, and I'm not like, I weigh 100 pounds less than him, I think, and he's like, just absorbs it because I think it's hilarious, and he's, such like a big masculine man for me to do that. I just love it.
How are you holding him? Is it like
no, like a bride, on the first,
like walking through the door when you're bride and groom?
Yeah. I've done it. It's hilarious.
How strong
I'll do it
are
for
you?
He's going to be here tomorrow. He won't let me do it in public. It can't be in a public place. It's got to be like an intimate.
I need to see
like
this.
he would.
Can we do it just for Hernando?
Let's have more of that wine, and then we'll have him do it together. All of us like in private.
Because I do. It's slightly emasculating, and I know that he sometimes is like no, because he has like this very vibe of
not here, honey.
Yeah, I'm like, well, but I've done it in front of all of his friends. I'm like, whoa, bro, like that's crazy. But something about that makes me feel really great. And sometimes I do open the door, but I do from time to time. And I've told him this. I'm like, chivalry is not dead. And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, you can open the door for me from time to time. You can hold my hand in public. He's like, oh, it's like doesn't occur to him as much to like that's important, and that's showing up in this way for me that I would probably value and feel loved, because I do like to feel like I'm the best. Like my, what is
special?
Your
core erotic theme.
Special. My core erotic theme is like feeling like I'm special, and the pedestal.
A lot of women want to feel desired, and whether that's sexually or relationally.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and again, I think for me, so I remember being with my partner, and then we weren't doing well, and there was like definitely not a lot of acts of generosity is what I look at it more so, is like thinking outside himself and acts that are just like, I want to take care of this person. And then I was dating for a little bit, and I would experience that, someone holding the door for me, and I was like, whoa.
I know, what is that?
Yeah, but to me, it's still, and I think I called it chivalry at the time, but it still didn't feel like chivalry. It just felt like, oh, you're thinking about me. And that's it. Like that's what I want. Is just to feel that someone is thinking about me sometimes, and have it be pretty mutual. I take care of you, you take care of me. It's not really related to gender, and because if it's not balanced, then someone kind of feels icky.
Yeah. Friday night I was at a party, and they had a taco truck, and I had a friend that was running behind, and they were on their way, and they had just called last call for the food. And I just texted her real quick and said, hey, there's a taco truck here. They're about to finish up. Do you want some tacos? And she said, yeah, of course. And she got here like 15 minutes later. The taco truck was broken down. And I just had like 4 or 5 tacos for her with some sauce and like some cups. And she like got almost teary-eyed. And she said, my ex never would do things like this for me. And I'm thinking to myself,
she realized, she's like, wow.
I'm like, it's only fucking tacos. He didn't get you tacos?
Like what the fuck?
He wouldn't have gone out of his way.
But it's what you mentioned about.
That comes back to you being such a wonderful, caring, giving human. You are.
I just wanted people to have tacos.
Yeah. Well, you just.
I love spreading the Latin culture.
The tacos. I love the Latin culture.
Tacos for everyone.
I mean, it's just not being stuck in your own little bubble of me and like, what can I get? And like, oh, I got to take care of myself. And more like, okay, and even if it's not a romantic thing, how can I step outside of myself and just take care of people sometimes?
Acts of servitude are great.
There's some old John Gottman research that he filmed like hundreds of couples, and he filmed them for thousands of hours in his therapy office, and he broke it down to where he had all these different sort of ideals that can either predict divorce or predict people's success in relationships. And he predicted divorce, I believe it was up to 94% accuracy after 3 years or 5 years.
Just by getting to know them?
Just by like observing their interactions.
Their habits?
Their habits.
Oh, wow. As couples
and communicating. Whoa. And he had this ratio that if you were able to sustain a 5-to-1 ratio of positive to negative interactions with your relationship, that you'll be successful in your relationship. And if you think about it, like, it could be getting your partner tacos. It could be, helping them out with like
I'm gonna start
making the
counting
bed.
Now in my relationship. Fucking Hernando, thanks for that. Adds to my OCD.
Well, I didn't mean to get y'all OCD on this.
Yeah. Oh no, this is like totally not my bag.
Tally. Nope.
Did we get 2 or 3 today? Shit. Yeah. What happened?
Every room's gonna have like a dry eraser board.
Yeah,
with,
I know.
like, tallies.
Staring him in the eyes.
That's a half.
Yeah, I'm like, what is that? Oh no, that's really that makes sense though.
Well, it's just you gotta have it in balance towards the positive and the affirming and the desiring and the respecting, and then not towards the negative and the lacking in respect.
Honestly, the more going out of your way, helping someone, letting them know that you care, appreciating them, the better. Like, stop driving. You don't need to regulate the shit. If you're into the person, do this as much as possible. If you're not into them, that could be misleading, confusing, of course. Like, let's not play games. But, I mean, just, like, the more the merrier. It's
more
really
love. Put out
helping
love.
someone else to feel cared for or loved. And even if you don't love them, just for you bought someone tacos. It was a friend. It made their day.
Yeah, that's like, Amy, you always take care of me when we're on the road, by the way. Just a shout out to you and your hippie snacks. Because I woke up this morning.
What's
I
a
was
hippie
exhausted.
snack?
Oh my God,
She
I always
just
bring hippie
always
snacks.
has hippie snacks everywhere.
Oh my
And I was
God,
like,
this is what we
Amy,
call
do you have
them.
any hippie snacks? This morning I woke up. She's like, of course. I've got blueberries. I've got almond butter. I've got Greek yogurt and crackers and avocado.
And
I was like-
cucumbers.
and cucumbers. And I was like, oh, she's like busted all out for me, laid it out. And she always takes care of me like that. She's like, I'm going down to get coffee. I'm going to get you coffee. You want cream in it? I'm like, thank you. And like, you're such a lover like that. You always do that for me when we're on the road. I'm like, thanks, babe.
I mean, you both have such amazing relationship qualities, whether it's like open-mindedness or hippie snacks or humor or, there's so much that you both have that I think would really make relationships thrive. I'm sure that both of you have like relationships that are incredible.
Well, you mean romantic relationships?
Mhm.
Yeah.
And friendships.
Of course. Yeah. Friendships too. Yeah. Incredible romantic relationships with, of course, a lot of like ups and downs,
Oh,
but I will speak for mine. Like the ups are a lot more than the challenging parts, and the challenging parts are usually the educational pieces that are really fucking difficult at the time. But
Right.
once we get through it, then we're closer. And I like April's she's my little chip. So I like taking care of her.
I was like buck naked too. I was like eating
Yeah,
blueberries like handfuls. Just naked. I was like, so how's your night? Like just like she's just like chatting because I was super hungry because I didn't eat barely anything yesterday, and I'm at this show. And you get trade shows are hard.
12 hours straight, no
Yeah.
breaks.
If any of their listeners have ever been to a trade show, it's just like it's like a marathon, not a sprint.
I just get excited when you want my hippie snacks because
Yeah.
usually when I offer them, she rejects them.
Usually I'm
which
like,
is fine, but
it's
I'm
like almonds. I'm like crunching on dry almonds. Like
I think the name should be trademarked. It's phenomenal.
Hippie snacks?
Hippie snacks. Like put it in a bag, you'd sell millions of those.
I
But
called her
yeah.
partner hippie ripped because I'm like, he's hippie ripped. She's like, what do you mean? I'm like, like he's been rock climbing all day. He doesn't go to the gym. But he goes rock climbing and hiking and like, he's hippie ripped. And she's like, that's genius.
I like the term hippie.
Yeah, me too. It's
Wait,
good.
so if she calls you hippie, what do you call her?
April,
Yeah.
she's fancy.
Oh, are you fancy?
Yeah.
That's what she calls me.
Yeah.
No.
I say April's fancy, I'm hippie.
I'm not that fancy.
April was once a hippie though. She had a big dreadlock in her hair back
Just
in the day.
one.
You
Just
had a
because I didn't
dreadlock.
brush my hair very much.
She didn't shave and had a
Homeless
dreadlock.
or hippie? No one knew. No.
Now look at her, she's fancy.
Did you say she didn't shave? Is that what you said?
I didn't know her then, but she told me that she didn't shave. She had one dreadlock. She was a vegan, and she was on fish tour, following fish around, which is like the modern day Grateful Dead.
I love it.
True. I went to I've been to 70 some shows. They're actually performing this week in Tahoe.
Did
and
I
I'm
hear-
not there, and all my friends are
Is
there.
John Mayer their guitarist now? Did I hear that?
What?
He went
No.
Fish?
Trey Anastasio's always been their guitarist. If John Mayer is playing with Fish, I will be shocked.
Oh, wait. No, Grateful Dead.
Oh, Grateful Dead.
Grateful Dead. Oh.
Really?
I don't know.
Probably.
So somebody
Master
I know,
guitarist.
I have like the worst memory, but they told me they just went to a Grateful Dead concert and
The
that
Dead Company, yeah.
John Mayer was their
I think
guitarist.
that he's probably doing some pieces with them, but
But not
who knows?
full-time?
I can't
Okay.
honestly want to say anything on record, but off the record,
I like all the celebrity references on here. We're in LA, so it's perfect.
it is perfect.
We are.
Yeah.
So-
We took a lot of name
Yeah, we're
dropping.
in LA.
Huh?
Yeah, like,
Justin
that's good.
Bieber.
Yeah. We usually don't use names, but we can use their names.
Yeah, we can. We have definitely been recording for a long time now, and we'd have to, unfortunately.
We gotta go. But I want to
want-
I want to see if you have any last
Me
minute
too.
tips. Okay,
exactly.
good.
We're on the same page.
You do it. You say it.
It's all the blueberries I ate this morning.
LA antioxidant.
Well, in a nutshell, I would love to hear any last words of wisdom about dating, about relationships, about navigating through that aspect. Like bullet point, cliff notes, your top, 5 or 4 or 3, whatever you're comfortable with.
Or we're just
suggestions.
anything.
It's a
5 is
free
a lot.
Yeah. 1, whatever you want to do.
I was like, holy shit, that's
Can
a lot
you
of
give us the
pressure.
top 25? We only have 30 seconds.
So,
Yeah.
can you solve this whole world peace issue?
Oh God,
5 points.
pressure. Yeah.
I know. Damn it, Hernando, I'm sorry.
For the online app dating, I encourage people just to have patience, just to be real, be authentic, be honest. Don't get discouraged. Yes, some people may not have the best of intentions, but just don't lose hope. Like, stay positive and be yourself. Try to be funny. Don't try to be something you're not. If you ever read any of that pickup artist crap in the past, please let that go, because that stuff is not for adult relationships. And people will like you for who you are. And I really do encourage the humor. I think that being playful and humorous, we're all in relationships to, I think, enjoy, to have pleasure, to celebrate life. Work and life is stressful and serious enough. We want our relationships, I think, to just have a playful, sort of loving, fun, adventurous side. And then for in the relationships, like, too many people after, we talk about those honeymoon periods where after, let's say, 6 months to 2 years, people start to dip in regards to their commitment or the intensity of passion or their investment in the relationship and how hard they're trying. Just keep trying. Like, I always encourage my therapy clients when they're in a relationship on an anniversary to write a letter to themselves and write a letter to their partner. And the letter to themselves is to remind them of what this person means to you, why you fell in love with them, what it is about them that makes them you feel so special about this relationship. And then obviously the letter to them is, we have fallen off when it comes to writing love letters to people. And we may text them something cute or text them an emoji, but like, come on, write them a nice letter, put some thought into it.
My God,
and
so
they can read it over and over again, especially when they're feeling lonely or they're feeling, a little distant, and they can help you reconnect. So I just encourage people, keep trying. Like, don't, distancing, yes, it can be an erotic enhancer and sometimes create some sense of desire, but too much distance can sometimes pull you away, and keep invested.
I love that.
You're so smart. See,
that's beautiful.
You're a great doctor. You are. But I know folks probably
Speaker
out there,
too.
if you're a listener out there and you want to work with Hernando, you should, because I don't want to should anybody, but he's wonderful. You have amazing energy, grounding energy, and you're so, fluidly, like, smart with your information and the way you present it.
The delivery.
The delivery, all of it. So how can people work with you?
Will you write my Bumble profile?
Yeah, she's good.
I'm there for you.
That was perfect. Can we just record that and put that?
I know. So honestly, I will vouch for you. I'll vouch for Hernando. So, but if people want to work with you, listeners, I'm sure out there would love to work with you. And how can they do that?
You could reach me at www.drhernandochavez.com. I do podcasts, I do media presentations. I'm also a college professor and teach human sexuality and psychology classes, as well as a sex therapist in Beverly Hills. And I work with everything from erotic minorities, kinky, non-monogamous, fetish folks, and also people with sexual concerns and relationship and love issues.
Can you do Skype, or do you have to be present?
Skype, phone.
Okay, so
it's got to be within California for therapy, but then I do coaching outside of California.
And that's because of the licensing stuff, right?
Yeah.
So, so if you're a California person, listener,
Yeah.
okay, good to know. I didn't realize that.
Yeah. Awesome.
So in Texas, do you have
I can do coaching across lines.
Okay, so
so it's more like advice giving and
Guidance.
education and guidance.
Okay, that makes sense.
But if it's intense
Can you
stuff
prescribe medicine?
I can't, no.
Damn it.
Nope.
Oh,
What did you need?
I was just hoping to get a cocktail of, I need some sleeping aid.
She wants Viagra.
Yeah, can you give me some Cialis prescription? Just want to see what it'll do to my clit.
So you've heard.
Yeah.
Something.
Off the record.
Anything else, Amy?
Oh, no.
Hernando?
I'm just wanting to see what happens to your clit on Cialis now.
I know you.
I don't know. It might just start
The
gyrating.
conversation totally veered to that.
Yeah.
One track mind. Yeah.
It's been awesome. I love having you, talking to you. Amy, you had some awesome moments too today.
April.
All day.
A for awesome.
A for awesome. D for doctor. N for vitamin Diaca. That's what all right, y'all. We're getting crazy over here. But thank you for tuning in. We love our listeners. Remember, if you have a moment, if you have some time, write us a 5-star review on iTunes. We do not ever hate the 4 or 3 stars. We always look at your feedback, and we do read all the reviews.
But if it's a 1, we hate it.
I know. We're like, damn it.
No, I'm just kidding. We don't hate it.
No, we don't.
We actually will try to improve.
We will. And we enjoy reading the reviews. They're beautiful. And it's been an absolute joy hanging out with Hernando Chavez today. And we will see you all next Tuesday. Ciao for now.
Don't forget to head on over to our website at shamelesssex.com for more. And for 15% off of some of our favorite sex toys, use coupon code SHAMELESSPP in all caps at purepleasureshop.com.